Danucci here on the Awake Nation. We're
Wow.
bringing our next guest, Maga Mandy, who's also joining us here on the. Good morning, Maga Mandy. How are you?
Good. I'm great. Thank you. Happy to be here. Thank you.
We had you on Agent X11 yesterday, and you initially were very reticent to talk and tell your story because there are still individuals that are apprised of who you are, and your life is in somewhat peril for you coming forward. So you're not naming any names, but tell us a little bit about you are a human trafficking survivor.
Mm.
And one of the things that we talked about, which we'll be talking about again on Friday, is that you encountered, I'm going to skip way forward in the time machine, you encountered a cult, essentially a cult environment that was, I'm going to say global, but for your perceptions, statewide, right?
Yeah.
So you encountered literally, like, you thought, all right, I finally got away like 4 or 5 times. I'm out, but they keep bringing me back in. You encountered this same cult that they're like, we own you, and there's nowhere that you can go to get out of this cult. And that has to be a shocking concept, especially if you fought for your life and to get out of this situation. So before we go right there, tell us a little bit about your childhood, because you said I had a good childhood, Penny.
Yes, I did. So my dad has he's a veteran, so I had the military upbringing from him. He worked at Rikers Island when I was very young, and then started working in mental health facilities when we later moved to Florida. My mom, one of the most kind, loving, compassionate women, very, very good role model. She was my best friend growing up, and she taught me how to sew, how to cook, how to garden. So I probably was the, looking from the outside perspective, but I just I had a childhood that was, you would think, would be like the least likely person to end up in the situations where I had
And
been
you
drawn.
also had some religious foundations as well.
Yes. My nana, I grew up in the church. I was bullied a lot growing up, so that kind of just pushed me more and more into my faith. And my nana instilled in me moral values, like, just because somebody's mean to you doesn't mean to be mean back to them.
Is your nana still alive?
No, she's not. No.
Okay, sorry.
Why were you bullied?
So I have a very rare like condition with my eyes. So I'm missing a muscle in my eyylid.
Okay.
So my eyes don't open up all of the way. I have to like force them open. I had surgery to try to correct that.
Mhm.
But just from having smaller eyes, I mean, they used to say really mean things to me, like, just bully me for that.
That's ridiculous. You're gorgeous. I mean,
Yes, you
I'm
are
not trying to.
absolutely beautiful. And so, because you are beautiful, you were approached when you were in college by a modeling offer.
Yes.
Okay.
And when that modeling offer came your way, you were working a couple jobs to make your way, and you thought, well, this would be sweet. I could make some money and pay for my college, right?
Yes.
What was that modeling offer, or what did it turn into?
So it was, I know we only have a little bit of time, but so it started off as modeling pictures on the beach, and I was in Florida, so it wasn't very uncomfortable at the time. It was uncomfortable because I had a man taking photos of me, but the opportunity to have a modeling portfolio and all of the promises that were made, I pushed myself to do that. I went from that to meeting potential people who would be hiring me for modeling positions, to meet them at a bar, which turned into a strip club, and then live modeling at the strip club. And it just kind of spiraled.
Did you have an agent? Did you have an agent who could have protected you from some of this?
That's funny.
Sleazy. Well, I know I'm not trying
Funny
to.
because I did have agents, and
You would think that sometimes they would look out for you, but I guess I'm wrong.
really,
I'm sorry. I'm naive. Okay, what can I mean,
you are, and I think that's what Magamandy's point is that she went into it naively,
yeah.
as many of us do. You go in with an open and a good heart, thinking and believing what these individuals are saying. I had cited to her on our show the story that that Megan Walsh had told about one of her girlfriends who was solicited by Orlando Brown's manager, and then she thought she was going out for a dancing gig in Vegas, like a legit like showgirl. Only unfortunately, she was swept into human trafficking. And
China, Russia, and all BRIC nations are making their play to dethrone the dollar, and it's coming ahead this July. Donald Trump Jr. here with an urgent warning you won't hear in the mainstream media. For years, these countries have plotted a parallel financial system to challenge the dollar and America's economic dominance. And now, at a summit in July in Rio de Janeiro, they're going public with their plans. If successful, this so-called Rio reset could devastate the dollar and along with it, the value of your IRA or 401k. Central banks worldwide already stockpiling gold at record rates. They know what's coming in July. And that's why I urge every American to act now before the Rio reset, to diversify their retirement into a gold IRA. Click the link below to get a free info kit from the Birch Gold Group, the only gold company I trust. Don't wait until the Rio reset makes front page news in July. Do it now. Gold has endured every currency crisis in history, and it can help your IRA or 401k survive this one too. Click below for your free info kit from the Birch Gold Group now.
she then tried to get out. She was told, if you get out, there's one way you can get out, and that's you're going to end up in little pieces on the side of the freeway. She did end up in little pieces on the side of the freeway. She disappeared, and her legs were found in Chicago from Vegas. You worked in Vegas.
Yes. Yeah.
How did that transpire?
Through the network of connected criminal organizations, I had eventually been recruited by my second trafficker. This is later on when I was about 21. And we started posting online ads, like Adult Finder, the different websites for hiring escorts. He trained me and groomed me into how he wanted me to handle those appointments. And then we started training in Tampa at the Hard Rock Casino, and then to Miami because that was the closest thing to the Vegas experience. So it's like a building block of layers and steps. And, a lot of tests in between too. They want to make sure that they're not going to bring you around wealthy, high-paying individuals when you're going to be showing up getting high or, they stealing. So it's a selective process. And when I got to Vegas, there's rules to the casinos. They explained to me that the police and the authority figures that were around, they were my security as long as I followed the rules. I had nothing to worry about because they know that the Johns are there for a specific reason, and it's not just the gambling, but gambling, drugs, and escorts, it all goes hand in hand. So it's a very well-known, best kept secret that I never walked into a casino and wasn't spotted, that like they knew what I was doing.
Right.
And I didn't really ever have any issues when it came to following the respecting the casino is what my trafficker would say.
Yes. Well, you do know that Anna Nicole Smith overdosed at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel Casino in Florida.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. I think she was killed, but that's just my personal opinion. You were lucky enough to get out several times. I know that you'd been raped, and many times. Did you know that some of the Epstein victims were also approached for modeling gigs, and they were lured to the island? And one in particular, Juliet Bryant, was lured to the island. She was like 17, and she could not get off the island. Her passport was taken. Um, did you ever have any intercessions with Epstein that you can speak of that you?
So again, I'm going to kind of speak these ones out slowly because my first trafficker, we'll call him Pugsley. Pugsley is a well-known public figure, and he has recently interacted with me and threatened me. Actually, about a week before Virginia's death, he had, when they are done with us, a common way to dispose of us is to have an overdose.
Right.
It's not really questioned.
CIA prefers a car accident.
Yeah. I've also had people run me off the road, so I don't find that one hard to believe either. Twice actually. But a week.
Because that way it's kind of hands off. I believe that Marilyn Monroe was also killed. I believe she was injected, and that caused her overdose. She did have some substance abuse problems, but those substance abuse problems happened with her handlers, who were the film producers like Warner, and Warner would basically give you a drug to go to sleep, give you a drug to wake up, and then you become addicted. Did any of your handlers ever try to addict you?
There was a point in time where I was at it was some sort of experiment. The government was involved. And so they explained to me that there would be like 3 people that had the same identity. They all kind of looked similar, but if you were aware and paying attention, you could tell that they were different people, and they would take shifts. So I was at a house that was being fully monitored, and they were microdosing me. And I don't know with what. I mean, at different times I felt different reactions to whatever it was. And one of the people who, had like body doubles or whatever you want to call it, he had kind of like discreetly told me, hey, you're being drugged, and this and this and this are happening. He was like, don't eat any open food containers. Don't eat anything that anybody else cooks you. Like basically telling me like I was safe on his shift. But when the other 2 guys came through to, follow a certain pattern to make it out of there alive. And because I was praying in the back room out loud, knowing that they could hear me. And I was just like, I feel sick. I feel like what they describe as dope sickness. Like I do not want that. I don't like, I was just praying, but I also knew that they could hear me. And it was the next rotation where that, and thank God for him, he came through and like, discreetly told me how to avoid taking whatever it was that they were trying to give me or were giving me.
Because they will definitely drug you because, we know this within the Diddy cases that are prevalent right now, how he's drugged people to states of unconsciousness, and they awaken, not even aware of the fact that they were gang raped. And we're talking not just about women, we're talking about men as well. I watched an interview with 5 guys in a band. I don't know what that band was, but at the end of the interview, all 5 guys were weeping over whatever incident that they observed that happened with, I believe, the primary figure who was being interviewed. And I can't recall what the band's name was, but it was a horrific testimony to what is going on within the industry. And you were trafficked also by politicians, by rappers within the music industry, which the music industry lends itself to, actors and directors, etc., especially in Vegas. You might not even know that you're with a profile individual.
Yes, and I can definitely see how everything and everyone, different organizations are connected to a degree. Pugsley had a mansion, and throughout the 15 years, give or take a little bit, that I had been trafficked, there were multiple times where I know him as Jeff, but Epstein would come through the mansion, and it was almost like he was a mentor to Pugsley, because I was always advised not to talk to them except when either I had arrived or Jeff had arrived. And it was a very formal introduction, or, just catching up, like, hey, do you remember me? And Pugsley would be just showing me off over how obedient I was.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I mean,
if Jeff was a mentor to Pugsley, then you know for certain that, because you already said, I know that I was being watched, I was being filmed, right? So you know for certain that that was the protocol, because
Folks, on July 6th in Rio de Janeiro, the BRICS nations are coming together in a time that they see a weakness in the Judeo-Christian West. But more importantly, they see the chaos in today's capital markets, particularly around our currency. So on July 6th, they're calling together in Rio all the nations of the BRICS. And what do they want to do? They want to come up with an alternative currency, somehow backed by gold, to replace the US dollar. This Rio Reset is one of the most important meetings in modern financial and currency history. Now, what do you need to know about your own financial stability and going forward, particularly if you're near retirement? Click below right now about the Rio Reset. Make sure you just go to the screen, click below. You'll see you get free information about the Rio Reset. You get free information about how the price of gold is determined and why central banks throughout the world are setting records every month with this purchase. Make sure you click below to get full information from Birch Gold.
Epstein was, in my estimation, and many others, an asset for Mossad. I believe also an asset for CIA. And I do not believe that he is dead. That's my personal opinion. I believe that he is actually still an asset for the American government.
yes. So I know he's not dead. A week before Virginia's death, my trafficker threatened me about those suicides, or the overdoses that had happened. And he kind of laughed at that I was making these videos, like taunted me about it, but said not to name any specifics. Like there was a clear line not to cross, like not to name names, not to talk about what happened from the time during COVID to when I was rescued by Sail of Freedom, and which is 2-year, 3-year stretch. And he said that if I did do that, then there was no statute of limitations on murder, and brought up some of the specific people who had passed away that he used to, when they would die, he would tell me in like a bragging way. He would be like, hey, so-and-so robbed me, or, some crazy story that happened.
Right.
And then would say, oh, and she's dead now.
Right. And that's what Diddy did for over 3 decades within the music industry. I want to thank you for coming forward. I know it's difficult. I know the traumatic memories that are still resonant in your body from all of the things that you went through. And I know that you're also working on doing a documentary with Ryan Matta.
Yes. Yeah.
So you just did like a first episode kind of thing, right? Because you can't possibly tell your story, and that's why we're going to keep having you on Agent X11. There's more time on there, and I encourage people, please watch our episode from yesterday on Agent X11, which is Patriot Crossroads, and very brave to come out. But the one on Friday, you'll have even more time. You'll have an hour and a half, and we can, we're going to have to hop around certain things. But she, Magamandy, I want to ask you, why are you called Magamandy?
So the biggest reason, the decipher, when I was like, okay, so I'm going to speak up about my story. The thing that gave me courage in it was when President Trump had gotten shot, and then because of what he is doing, it's so important to him. He went back up on that stage a week later because it was something that he believed in. And I have a big tapestry hanging over my bedroom window of that, fight, fight, fight picture right after he got shot.
Yeah.
So he's a huge inspiration to me. I have so much respect for him. And so that was the deciphering moment there for me to start doing this and to have the purpose outweigh the risk. And
it does take a lot of courage to do what you're doing. I've also extended an invitation to you to join our trauma triage team. We would like you to also speak on the trauma triage team. Right now, we're talking about deception and betrayal. And Tom Althouse is up this next Monday. You're welcome to sit in on that. We'll put you on the phone list if you'd like. And what we do in trauma triage team is we talk about how we're going to plan what segments we're going to do, what we're going to do them on. We do a little bit. We have someone that does the PowerPoint, and so that we stay on task, and we speak about these things. But the motto of the trauma triage team, I just redid the song for it, is mending hearts and finding solutions. And then I realized so many of the people in there are finding solutions, and they're big solutions. And so it's mending hearts and starting revolutions. And I think with people speaking out, and also helping others, I found this, you achieve healing within your own self as you're helping others, and your story indeed helps others. So that's why I applaud you for your courageousness in what you're doing. And perhaps someday we'll do a movie about you, because David and I are moving to doing documentaries and movies.
Yeah,
and you need to write a book.
Yeah. Yes, I've been suggested that. Yeah, it's definitely hard to express everything. I mean, even with the documentary with Ryan Matta, still only after I got maybe like 4% of it in there, and we had been talking for 6 hours. I mean, over 15 years, there's a lot of things that happened. So I definitely will utilize every outlet that God opens the door for. So thank you very much.
Can you tell us a little bit about this? Is it Sela? Who helped you?
Sela Freedom. So they are a nonprofit organization. It's not government funded, and they have safe houses. They have a bunch of different resources. I'm actually on the advisory board there. I'm still heavily involved with them. But my experience was I spent 2 years at a long-term residential safe house, and they give you healthy, gosh, I don't know. The person that I was when I went in there, to sum it up really fast, was broken. I was scared to even say hello, how are you, and introduce myself to anybody. I was very broken. And the person I am today, now I'm on video sharing my story. Right. I'm so well connected with the people that are involved there. Some of the advocates that were our employees there, I have lunch with them regularly now. So it's like an extended family to me. But they gave me a team of trauma specialists, counseling, it was a very intense program, which I would love to talk about when we do
Yes.
have more time.
We
But
most assuredly were. I think we need to talk about that on Trauma Triage Team. We only have a few more minutes. I want to ask you, in regards to, because when I was writing the song for the Trauma Triage Team, I had a comment from somebody that said, it's too happy. And I said, really? Because it's going to get a lot happier. And so I wrote a happier song for Trauma Triage Team, because I believe that our endings they can be happy. Sometimes they're tragic, but sometimes they're not. What kind of a hopeful message would you like to give anybody that is being sex trafficked right now?
that there is resources out there. There is a way out. And as hard as it is to find a new path, and how scary it is to not trust the people that are offering you help, it's better to take a chance for a new life than to stay stuck in that darkness. And if I made it out, you can too. And you can message me openly on X. My tag's MAGA_Mandy, and I'm open to help connect you with the same resources that saved my life.
I think that's really what it's about. I think that's why we're here on this planet, to try and help each other. And no one gets off the planet alive, so there's that. But while we're here, I think we have duty and obligation to try and help one another, and to alleviate the trauma of being on this planet.
Yes.
David?
Well, I admire you. I really do. And I'm glad that you're going to be part of the Agent X11 program. Hopefully you'll come back on here as well. And we would like to, I think you'd be an excellent subject of our first documentary. I think we should really
I think so
get
too. And I think it would be wonderful on the Trauma Triage Team, because that's really what it's about. All the people that are on the Trauma Triage Team have experienced some form of trauma, complex post-traumatic stress, or just post-traumatic stress. And they're all working their way out, trying to help the public. For instance, we have Michelle Peterson, who is
President Trump, you stand with American construction workers like us.
We're ready to get to work, building new homes for middle-class families. But we need your help.
Let's build housing for American workers
built by American workers.
We support your plan to sell Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Let's use the money to build workforce housing
for people like cops, firefighters,
tilers,
carpenters,
steam fitters,
and construction workers like us.
Let's build housing for American workers,
built by American workers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
President Trump, let's get it done.
Has done the Andrew Law, anti-grooming. We have Michael Francis, who I think they're working on a documentary regarding his daughter, and he's trying to push for a coercive control law called Micah's Law. We have Me Too Family Court, Marissa McGinnis, who is working on that. We have Court Watchers, Brad Connolly, who is his wife is an ex-actress in the industry, and he has his JD, and he works exposing Hollywood and the corrupt family court system. I can go on and on. But one of the individuals that is no longer with us, he's a pastor. And one of the things that you had said, I coached him on, because of he did have some heart issues, but he needed to leave a town that he was a pastor at a church that was a devil church, essentially. And I counseled him on how to get out of town. And then he was going back to a familiar relationship in which he did not trust that individual. I said, don't drink anything, don't eat anything that they make, get your own food. And within a month, he was dead. So what you're saying is absolutely real. And that's why I applaud your courage for what you're doing. And we will see you again this Friday on Agent X11. This time it's going to be one of our true crimes. So we had you on Patriots Crossroads, and then we're going to have you on a true crime episode as well, because you were involved with true criminals, and you're lucky that you did not end up, it was a blessing that you did not end up as a statistic, as many of us have that same blessing in our lives.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
you. We'll talk to you very soon. Thank you so much. God bless you. Wow. Maga Mandy here on the Awake Nation. And it's amazing. Really.
It's amazing that she made it out, considering some of the very, very high profile individuals that she was involved with. And she told us, one of them was an individual that we've known as Epstein.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right. Well, what's coming up on Agent X11 today?